Today in politics, are we closer to war? Possibly. Apparently, a lot of militaries are deploying troops right now, anywhere from Russia, China, the UK, Australia. So there's a lot of movement. We may be getting and preparing for war. In finance, what? Gun companies are a good place to invest right now during the pandemic? Wow, that was kind of a shocker to see regular news talking about investing in gun stocks. That was very, very interesting. In entertainment, they keep on telling everyone that we are so racist. But if we were really racist, would a black gay man writing a song about Satan and let me see, I think he also released a satanic shoe as well. Would that be allowed? And would he be on the top of the charts in the music charts? And would thousands of immigrants be lining up at the borders if we were really a racist country? Well, that's what we got today to discuss in entertainment. And then lastly, our gun corner. There's actually two things that we want to discuss today. The first one is there's apparently an en banc trial that's happening right now in California or in regards to bans of regular capacity magazines, 30-round magazines. So that's going on. And Biden sends out stimulus checks and gun sales surge. So stay tuned here at the Hot OTM Podcast. Transmitting from sunny Southern California, capital of entertainment, beautiful ladies, and great whiskey. You're listening to the Hot OTM Podcast, where we discuss politics, guns, entertainment, music, and all the controversial topics we can find. Here are your hosts, Hector Robles and Christian Mejia. All right, so there's now a $2 trillion infrastructure bill that's being proposed. Usually when something like that is being proposed, it means that we are getting ready for war or something bad's about to happen. I was watching this video by this lady named Prepper Nurse, and she was actually discussing this. She was talking about how there's a shift in information exchange and public opinion sway. And the first thing she was mentioning is that before World War I, that there was like printed paper and telegraph, and now we have the internet and other places, kind of like Facebook, that's being manipulated by China, by Russia. So they're swaying opinion of the public as well. So it's, certain things, and I'll throw out a couple of points here that I got from that video that I thought were very compelling. She was mentioning how destabilization that has been happening internationally came out of China. The situation helps with war, famine, disease. The U.S.'s time is fading since we've moved all of our manufacturing out of the country. So China's attracted all these tech companies and essentially appropriated all the technology. They essentially bribed them to go over there for the low wages, and any company's technology essentially belongs to the CCP. So to a certain extent, they've exploited the hunger for money from all these companies, and they've taken that technology. Australia is now arming itself, and they're shifting their training from desert fighting to essentially Pacific Ocean kind of fighting styles. So that's something really interesting. Taiwan has recently updated their Patriot missile system. And along those same lines, Armenia is deploying 7,500 soldiers, 100 tanks. So Armenia's got 300 artilleries going to Nagorno. What is it? The Karabakh border. Russia's deploying 8,500 soldiers, missiles, artillery, troops to 3 different borders as well. So stuff is happening. Even though our media isn't reporting any of this, stuff is happening all over the place. kind of, I want to say it's starting to get a little scary, to be honest with you, because everyone's kind of positioning all their troops all over the place. And it does feel like the air is getting a little thick, to be honest with you. So just keep an eye out for that. I mean, the information is out there. I just kind of wanted to mention some of these points. We're moving over to vaccine passports. I had not talked about this for a little while because it was still kind of just hearsay. But New York has officially released a vaccine passport. It's called the Excelsior passport, and they are starting to use it at Madison Square Garden. Madison Square Garden will be the first venue that they're going to be using. Essentially, you won't be able to go into Madison Square Garden unless you show that app that they've got set up, and then you'll be able to attend any other sports events. So this is how it starts. And in regards to that, I saw a different video. Well, actually, you know what? Let me mention one thing with that. In that same report that I saw, they mentioned that 8.5 million people in the state of New York had gotten vaccinated, and that within the last week, they had vaccinated 1 million people. So I began to think about that. I'm like, okay, if so many people are getting vaccinated and they're protected, why do they need to track you and force you to show your vaccine passport? I mean, that's a little weird, right? They're showing you, they're telling you how great everything's going, how many people are getting vaccinated, how great the whole program is, but they want to force you to show them that you've been vaccinated. And if all those vaccinated people are protected, then who cares if there's people that come in from out of state that are not vaccinated? I mean, the vaccinated people are protected, right? So I find it illogical to force those passports. So I started doing a little bit more digging on these passports, and I found another video by this lady. She's a CEO of a tech company. She didn't disclose exactly what tech company it was when I saw the video. And it's on BitChute. So essentially, I'm just going to tell you what she was mentioning. That this is kind of a quote. The vaccine passport is the same platform as a social credit system. And at first I was kind of thinking, well, what does she mean by this? And she was mentioning that they'll start with something like venues. Then before you know it, you won't be able to get into a grocery store without the vaccine passport. And it's going to be tracking everywhere you go. And everyone knows that phones track. I mean, you can look through Google and it'll show you if you still have your Google on, your like GPS, it'll track and show you the routes where you've been this entire time. So essentially, they'll be tracking you with that app, where you're going, how long you're spending with people, with other phones that are around you. And we all know that the government and everyone can record and listen in on our phones. Snowden mentioned all of that. So it's a state surveillance system, essentially. And essentially, if this is tracking everything that you do, this is going to be a great tool for the government because they can connect dissidents. And something that this lady mentioned in this video was saying that if for some reason you're causing trouble for the government, they could just put that you have COVID, and now nobody's going to let you into a movie, nobody's going to let you into a grocery store because you have COVID. So it's a way of controlling dissidents. And then I started to think about, like, hey, if they're controlling that, then if we're going to this Fed coin system, can they possibly control your money now? And she mentioned something that Microsoft and Salesforce have come together. So Microsoft and Salesforce rolled out a vaccine app, and it's aligned with Apple Pay, and it's aligned with it is Google Pay. So it wouldn't be too far to imagine that they would connect it to FedCoin once that kind of gets rolled out as well. So just think about this. Just use the app. It's going to be over for just a little bit. Just go ahead and use it. It's not a big deal. All of a sudden, something else happens, and now you have to use it on a constant basis to get in anywhere, to make sure that you've gotten all your vaccines, that you have everything that the government wants you to have. Now they're tracking you. Now they're listening in on you. Now they know who you're hanging out with. And if you go to a movie that they disapprove of, if you do, if you're out past curfew, they can lock you out of your money. They can lock you out of stores, whatever the hell they want. They can control it. So essentially, Chinese style of oppression, and it's no longer America. So I know it seems far-fetched, but it's here. It's not, and this is something that she specifically said that it kind of hit home. She said it's not 10 years from now. It's not 5 years from now. It's today. So I would suggest that you don't just go with the flow, and you stand up for yourself and stand up for everyone else as well by not complying with this this unconstitutional and oppressive situation. All right, we are moving over to finance, and this was actually a really funny and interesting thing that popped up on my screen the other day. I was just looking through. I do some trading of mining stocks and things like that. And I was just thinking, okay, so I'm doing, precious metals. I'm looking through that. I'm educating myself on that end. And I saw an article that popped up in the news, and it said the 7 gun stocks to buy during the coronavirus pandemic. And I was just like laughing because I'm like, oh my God, I have a gun corner and I never thought about investing in gun stocks. It was just kind of a funny, light bing kind of came on. They were recommending stocks from, let me see, Ruger, what was it? Smith & Wesson, and one of my favorite ones, Big Five. It was really interesting because I shop at Big Five all the time for ammo, so that's one of my favorite stores. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna start keeping an eye on those items or those stocks to see when's a good time to buy. But I just thought I'd mention that you might want to take a look into gun stocks because this last month of March, I think there was something like 4 million backgrounds that were run. It broke a record. So obviously gun sales are popping pretty high right now, and they have not cooled down since March of last year. So it's an interesting, some interesting stocks to kind of keep in mind. And then a second thing that I saw in finance, it was the Great Reset. I had discussed that in previous episodes, but nothing new had kind of popped up. So I was just kind of not really paying attention. And then all of a sudden, the World Economic Forum put out a propaganda video. So that video, as you can see, it's just straight up Chinese propaganda telling you how great it is, at what we need to do, and basically drawing this pixie dust kind of world with fucking rainbows and unicorns and shit. And you're just like, dude, these guys are fucking insane. Just they're nuts. And they're trying to normalize I don't know, that they're trying to normalize the fact that we need to save the earth from us. And they're pitching it to you. And I just found it like disturbing to a certain point of like how sneaky they were trying to sell that shit. But it was just, you can also just, if you Google that, or not even Google it, just go on YouTube, you can also find the full video there. It's kind of fucking nuts, to be honest with you. They talk about how millionaires are made, millionaires were made so much money during the pandemic and all this inequality, but they're the millionaires. So the millionaires are telling you how unfair this whole system is, how all this inequality, but they're the ones putting this shit together in this plan. I don't trust you. That's really what it comes down to. Because the millionaires like, yeah, can you believe all the millionaires are making all this money? And, oh my God, look at all this inequality. We have to reset the whole system. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're going to try to fuck me. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to fall for that one. But yeah, and in the video, they push the fact that capitalism is dead because they don't want you to gain anything, anything from capitalism. They want you to beg for their help. That's really what it comes down to. But it just blew my mind. So wanted to mention that. With that being said, we're moving on to entertainment. All right. I'm sure all of you, or maybe you haven't, have heard of, I think his name is lilnas, and he put out some Satan shoes. And at first I was like, apparently it had like a drop of blood in the shoes, in the sole or something like that of the shoes. So I was just like, what the hell is wrong with people where they start, praying to Satan and shit? But I guess there's crazy people everywhere, whatever, This is America. I guess you could do, as long as you're not hurting other people and you're not sacrificing children, fucking pray to the devil if you feel that that's going to help you, whatever. I don't care. But so it intrigued me enough because I saw this, it kept on popping up. So it intrigued me enough to look at the video. So I watched his video. I'm a music buff. I'm a musician, so I play and I really like music. So I saw his video, and honestly, it made me want to fucking throw up. That's just the truth. I just wanted to throw up. He's like rubbing all up on himself, and there was even a scene there where he was wearing this like dress, kind of like what Chris Tucker was wearing in that Fifth Element movie. One of those dresses with like the fake hair, and he's got all these long nails and stuff. And I was just like, why do I want to watch a tranny dance around and rub all up on itself? Like, I don't know. I didn't understand how that's popular culture. Like, call me old, whatever you want to call me, man. But that, to me, that's just shit that it makes me want to throw up. And I don't even understand how anyone would even want to listen to this shit. But, and towards the end of the video, he ends up riding a stripper pole all the way down to hell, where he gives Satan a lap dance. And my producer brought up a good point. He said, the devil's the devil. Because at the very end of this whole situation, he snaps the devil's head and kills him, and then he puts on the horns. And my producer said, he's the devil. You think he doesn't know that shit? He's the king of shit talking and shit doing. You think he's not going to know what's up? So I thought that was kind of pretty interesting point. But anyway, don't waste your time watching that video. This guy's pretty much the biggest douchebag. It's going to make you throw up. So just kind of some weird shit that's happening. I guess that's Hollywood, to be honest with you, full of fucking Satanists and alleged Satanists and alleged child molesters, fucking pedophiles and shit. So stay away from that guy's crap music. I'll save you some time. All right. So now we move on to the gun corner. All right. So I saw another article that just popped out at me. Biden stimulus checks spark historic surge in gun sales, especially AR-15s. Oh my God. It made me so happy. It made me so happy. Because ironically, I have to thank Biden for his check because I was at the gun store myself. But I just found it funny, the fact that it actually appeared in the news that the stimulus was causing gun sales in ARs, historic surging gun sales in ARs. I love America. Love America. America, number one. All right, so I thought that was pretty funny. I think there was something like 4,691,738 background checks, an all-time high. So The irony is just awesome. They're telling you that they're going to ban the ARs, and you send them a check. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Oh, my God. I'm just going to cry because it's just... the stupidity is unbelievable. But again, thank you to the Biden administration for my new tools. I appreciate it. All right. There's one last thing I wanted to mention in regards to the gun corner. There's an en banc Ninth Circuit panel that's happening in California. Essentially, they're kind of debating the magazine ban that we have here with a 30-round magazine ban. And something that was awesome was that 22 states essentially wrote a letter. It's called they filed a brief of arguing for California citizens. And it was just essentially stating that normal capacity magazines, 30-round magazines, are that they should be allowed in the state of California, and that 10-round magazines are not a constitutional... they're basically essentially infringing on our constitutional right by limiting our magazines to 10 rounds. And I find it pretty annoying, to be honest with you, because, I mean, realistically, the whole point is to stop criminals from committing crimes, right? We already have all these laws, and the only people that this is really affecting is you and I, who are law-abiding citizens that are going to go purchase a gun, and we're going to go, through the background check. And I mean, if these criminals want to commit these crimes, I mean, you can just cross the border real quick, go to Big Five or whatever they have across the border in Arizona, and pick up a couple of magazines at your local store, and you got 30-round magazines. That's what criminals do. I mean, in LA, I guarantee you can go around the corner and find 30-round magazines pretty quickly. Someone will sell them to you. You got some money, they'll take care of that for you. So the only people it's hurting is law-abiding citizens, and it is an infringement against our rights to bear arms. So I hope that this will turn out in a positive way. According to a couple of these lawyers that I was listening to, it's not looking good, but at the end of the day, we can't give up. And obviously the Democratic Party they're frustrated. I mean, you could just tell that they are frustrated because they can't pass any legislature they can't pass any bills at this point. They're trying all kinds of bills, and it looks like the only options that are open to them right now are executive orders. And I don't know if you've noticed, but Biden has been very hesitant to submit any executive orders. I think it's because the executive order can be taken down pretty quickly. So they want something that's going to be solid and it's going to hold, and it's not happening. So again, we are winning this war, this information war, like Alex Jones would say. By the way, I did get a comment from one of our viewers telling me that we were more over the top than Alex Jones, which to me, I thank him very much for that compliment. Thank you so much. Mr. Jesse, I don't know if it's Jesse the Body Ventura, but I want to thank you for tuning in, listening to our podcast, because it's people like you that help this show grow. And with that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening. Please rate, subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast. Please share it with all your friends and family. And we will see you on the next one. Thank you so much. You guys have a great night. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed the podcast, please rate, subscribe, and share. If you would like to donate, please join us on Subscribestar. Thank you again from all of us here at the OTM Podcast, and you have a great night.